Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
Welcome back to the show, everyone, indeed. Thank you again for joining me on another episode here on Catholic Table Talk podcast as we continue kind of this series. I didn't really make it up, so I think this is the Holy Spirit kind of guiding us through this. Is the kind of the lots of evil, lots of chaos, lots of killing, lots of senselessness in the world today. We talked about 2 weeks ago. We talked about, I guess, was it last week, talking about men stepping up in the parishes, and then 2 weeks ago we talked about churches vandalizing on the wives, as well as other problems with other things that are going on in the churches. And today we kind of shift kind of emergency show. I was gonna do one on Nicaragua and the Catholics down there, or not Nigeria. And the Catholics down there. That will probably be either next week's show or the other or the next episode or two, I should say. Um, but like I said, I kind of wanted I was going to go do that one, and I saw this article, and I'm like, this is kind of what we're talking about as well, and I felt kind of calling to do this topic. So again, I'm doing solo again. Again, we'll have guests back on here soon. This has kind of been, I guess, very I don't know what kind of, but again, this is I think happening for a reason. I think, like I said, I think the Holy Spirit's kind of guiding us through this this series. Is a difficult series that we're going through right now, in the show. But I think this is kind of what God's calling us to be at right now. So, without further ado, we're kind of talking about today coping with grief, and we're all people of hope. And I think so. I mean, we all know that, right? We all know that we're supposed to be a people of hope, and some of us carry that very well. You know, shout out to my mom. I think she does. She has she has a strong faith, and I think she carries out hope with her. She has that trust. Me on the other hand, I don't um as much, and I know a lot of people don't. But as Bishop of the Diocese of St. Cloud in Minnesota, we're going to hear from the Bishop of the time of this recording, Bishop Patrick Leary, talking about, we're coping with grief, where people are coping out with grief, even with all the trials of grief presents. And, it's one of the Beatitudes, like, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted, right? So, it's delayed gratification, um, patient endurance, maybe you could say as well. But again, with everything that is happening in the world today, I think this is a good one too, as we this episode comes out on 9/11 of 2025. So again, that's a lot of grief as well. And of course, this episode is just recorded just after Charlie Kirk's assassination as well. So that is, again, whichever side that I will on, um, that is in itself should be probably, I mean, you should be grieving, like, should be upset. You should be, you know, kind of struck, I should say. So, again, lots of evil, plus, again, with a little school shooting. So, again, like I said, more correctly again, I changed subjects. We'll push off the next one to next week, and we'll do with grief today, because, again, this is kind of the when this episode airs, it's a lot of stuff happening. So again, I kind of threw this together and delayed the show, the drop of the show to it. So I apologize for that, but thanks for your allowance and your what do you call it? Understand. Say. So Bishop Neary article just came out. We not grieve as people without hope. One of the most powerful books ever written by C.S. Lewis was A Grief Absorbed. What? It wasn't the Chronicles of Narnia? No, it was a grief, like, grieve, a grief absorbed. His wife, Joy Davidman, died of cancer in 1960. In reflecting on his own grief, he writes, "For in grief nothing stays put. One keeps on imagining from a phase, but it always reoccurs round and round. Everything repeats, and I go in cycles. Oh dear, I hope I am in a spiral. But if a spiral, am I going up or down? How often? Will it be 4 hours? How often will the vast emptiness astonish me like the complete novelty and make me say, I never realized my loss till this moment. The same leg is cut off one off time after time. As human beings, Bishop says, none of us can escape sessions of grief in our lives. I mean, whether that's, you know, you kind of know, like if you have a loved one dying from cancer or dying from something on hospice, you're kind of in a grieving state, but you're probably grieving and grieve still after they're gone, or if it's a big shock. All of us know what it's like to lose a cherished family member or close friend. The hardest moments come when a parent loses a child, or when a loved one or a friend dies by suicide, a drug overdose, or an extended illness. We all experience the grief that comes with something with seriously wrong in our lives, and it adversely affected our mental health. At times, we can feel overwhelmed by anxiety, depression, stress, or loneliness. At such moments, God can seem distant or silent in the midst of tremendous grief or suffering. Dang, here's one, Jordan. What's wrote? Faith is the marriage of God and the soul, the dark night of the soul. So dark that we may not even look for faith. The night in Gashima, when the last friends left you have fallen asleep, all the others are seeking your downfall, and God is silent as the marriage is consummated. It is comforting to know that both Mary and Jesus passed through seasons of grief just like us. The shortest phase in the New Testament is Jesus wept, which took place before the tomb of his friend Lazarus. One of Mary's titles is Our Lady of Sorrows, for she was a woman who bore much she could not understand and who stood fast. Also, you can find this article in the show notes, which is down in the description box below, so we'll check that out. The first place we should look for light, silence, and consolation is through times of prayer and seasons of sadness or loneliness. We need to just sit at the feet of the Lord in stillness, or just feel Him pouring us in a warm, compassionate embrace. We can pray the rosary, asking for Mary's motherly consolation in times of sorrow. It helps us to get out into nature to present to the beauty of God's creation, or to engage in hobbies that still the mind and bring us a measure of peace. What follows are some reasons to find hope that can ease our pains of grief. As Bishop Mary says, I have been privileged to celebrate 2 masses for suicide healing and remembrance at St. Mary's Cathedral in St. Cloud, Minnesota. What a powerful moment when the faithful bring flowers forward and place them in a basket in honor of a loved one they lost to suicide. I have heard from many about how healing these liturgies can have been for them. I am especially grateful that we have a mental health ministry team in our diocese which goes to provide spiritual companionship, as well as a spiritual and practical support, and to provide resources and educational opportunities for mental health awareness to our parishes. At present, our ACCs are developing a new grief ministries to provide a sacred space where people in pain can find both sanctuary and strength. We are also offering a new retreat series that seeks to name and tame anxiety of Catholic theology and brain science at its centers. And the diocese currently engaged in all things new planning process, we are being asked to realign our local church, what it will look like. We are being called to embrace broader sets of chores that goes beyond the boundaries of particular parishes to bring us closer together as one diocese family of faith and members of the Universal Church. We may be called to say goodbye to some of our churches, and there will be much grieving and letting go in doing so. Yet we are never truly alone or abandoned. Every church, after all, is our home, and we are all brothers and sisters in the Lord. For the church is you and me. As Catholics of the Universal Church, it is hard not to feel grief when we see humble, hard-working immigrants getting arrested, deported, and separated from their families. We are also aware of the effects of poverty and homelessness, especially in our own diocese, and that church is constantly inviting us to enter into greater solidarity with the poor and the marginalized. With the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, we are able to offer support for those who are on the margins, reminding us that the poverty and injustice are means the gospel compels us to heal. And on World Day of Migrants and Refugees, we affirm again the dignity of every human life. Let us remember that no matter the challenges we face, we will not grieve as people without hope, for Christ the Lord has risen to do more, has risen to die no more. He has taken us into the mystery of the grace of life that springs from death deep down because of Christ's infinite love, ours as well. Bishop Patrick. And yeah, of course, when dioceses are sick around and doing a little things different, they're kind of relying churches, closing some churches due to lack of priests and congregation, I think, and other things. But I mean, just focus on the main point you gave. We're a people of hope, not grief. We're called to love and seek justice, not vengeance, and um, kind of get through the tough times because I mean, again, it's delayed gratification, it's patient endurance because this is our home. Heaven's a home, and we're not there yet. So it's kind of like taking a road trip on maybe it's Christmas to Thanksgiving. I mean, I don't know about you, but living up in the Midwest, you got a lot of snow on those time of year, and those holiday travels can be pretty interesting. Yes, it might be snowing, might be a little slick. You can't take your time. You're worried, you're depressed. I'm not depressed, but I mean, maybe depressed, but your anxiety, you're just really feeling struck. You just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, should we go back? What do we give in? What do we do? And you just keep pushing until you get to grandma's house, right? So you just keep saying things. You have to try for him because keep hope. Now, much easier said than done, though. That is for sure. So much easier. And also, the Diocese of St. Cloud has offered a YouTube video, which you can find. I'll let you check it out in the description below. Of coping with grief. Again, it's more about like the churches and the diocese and the realignment. So some of it pertains to the listeners, some of it doesn't. Right, and some listeners I know. But again, it's just coping with grief. Um, is was a good one. And actually, coping with grief. Let me just give a pitch to Tom Woes, Balloon in a Box, coping with grief. Tom Woes, check out. We'll provide his link down below as well. Page. Gotta get back on the show. Um, and because his wife passed away, and he wrote the book, and he's on tour. So yeah, um, yeah, it's I don't know. It's like I said, it's been a rough few days, and it's yeah, a lot of stuff happening, lots of evil. And, I just been hearing that from the pulpit in the past couple of weeks in churches too, really laying the emphasis on the evil in the world. Yeah, because of what is happening, sure, but also just in that more spiritual world, it's happening. And I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I was live with the Zealot Stand. Shout out to Dave Anderson for having me on, and the Zealot Stand, check him out. And he's like, if you're not watching, he's like, well, do you believe in spiritual warfare, or how much is human weakness? And again, I think it's huge. 85% of the real world is invisible. 15% of the real world is visible. Demons and angels all around us, 24/7, and saints, and saints, and of course God, and same. But again, it's getting up every day, uh, going out fighting a good fight, spiritual, spiritual battles raging. We got to keep up with our part. And again, let me just say, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Again, really trusting God, hoping in God, believing in God. We all have our moments, and God knows we're all human. He knows. We take that to prayer, whether it's adoration, like Bishop Ranger said, stillness. So maybe that's an adoration. Maybe that's just going to church without adoration, just sitting in the presence of God. Maybe that's being still in your house for a little bit. Maybe it's just taking a little walk and, asking the Lord to speak to you. Maybe that's not listening to the radio on the car ride home, anything, right? So again, very, very kind of short today, but I'm gonna provide you with the here at the end with the link up above on YouTube if you can look at it. Otherwise, it'll be down in the description box below. We have a lot of good stuff down in the description box. We'll have this article, The Coping with Grief, analysis as they call it video. We'll have Tom Rose's book link as well. We'll probably have maybe have a few other things as well. So again, check out whether you're coping with grief with what's going on in this crazy world right now that Satan has his hands on. Or maybe something in your personal life, like you lost a family member or a friend, or you're just going through a rough time. Uh, check these resources out. So again, I felt like the Holy Spirit was inviting me and us to walk this path together. So check them out and share this with friends and family. And until next time, may God richly bless you and your family. Tell your friends and family that you love them. Stay in the same grace. That can really benefit the family as well. And go to assignments. Stay in the same grace by going to sacraments. God bless you all. We'll see you, God willing, next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.